home. My name's Jolene Schrock.
And I'm Brenda Troyer, and we're so glad you've joined us as we step into week 1 of the Advent series, Christmas 2020. It's our season.
If it's your very first time with us, or if you've been attending but haven't made yourself known, we would love to have you text the word welcome to 574-566-1870. This helps us get to know you and everybody else, and then you'll stay up to date with everything that's happening here at Restore.
Right, which there's a lot happening. And by the way, since we've shifted all of our gatherings online, it's doubly important that we stay connected. So whatever platform that you're watching this morning, make yourself known in the chat. Talk to our hosts, talk to each other. We can celebrate the good, pray together, all of that stuff as we're online together apart, right? Yeah. So how do you do it at your house, Jolene?
At my house, I get my cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably still in my jammies.
Okay,
and
no judgment.
We're sitting on the couch as a family. We love the worship time.
Perfect.
And then love always listening to the message.
Right.
Yeah, so today, just like every time we meet, we're reminding you that giving is good.
Right.
Giving is good. God calls us to live generously, and one of the ways that we do that is through giving our finances. We've made it easy. Just click the Give button in the upper right-hand corner on our homepage at restore.church and make your selection.
Right.
Thanks in advance for investing in the work of Restore.
Another part that's really vital to what we do here is prayer. It's central to who we are as a church, and especially in the middle of this pandemic. The stress is heavy, feels unsustainable at times. We've never gone through anything like this before, so we pray. We continue to pray healing over all of you who are sick and are battling this virus. And for those in our medical community, we pray that you would be filled with strength and energy as you care for the sick. If you're dealing with depression and anxiety, we speak peace over you in the name of Jesus, our healer and our redeemer. There's so much power in prayer. So send your prayer needs in to prayer@restore.church and know that we are standing with you in these difficult days. Again, I'm Brenda.
And I'm Jolene. We love you. And now lean in and sing along as Restore Worship leads us in the moments ahead.
Well, how's it going, church? We're so excited that you joined us online this morning. We're ready to worship our King. So if you would, if you're in your living room, your kitchen, stand to your feet. We're going to worship God this morning, and so we're just excited. Here we go.
I find perspective during the best and worst days of this life. You were always on my side. You're in the pain, you're in the promise, and on the days the furnace finds my faith, you're the fourth within the flames. I don't need to know what the future says, 'cause if the past could talk, it would tell me that my God isn't finished yet. If He did it before, He can do it again. So I'll trust in what comes next. For the God I know is known for faithfulness. Yeah, my hindsight says I can trust Him with what's next. For the God I know is known for faithfulness. There's more ahead than what's behind me. 'Cause through the highs and lows and in between, God, you go ahead of me. And when you call me, I will follow. And if the water falls beneath my feet, then you pull me from the deep. I don't need to know what the future says, 'cause if the past could talk, it would tell me that my God isn't finished yet. If He did it before, He can do it again. So I'll trust in what comes next. For the God I know is known for faithfulness. Yeah, my hindsight says I can trust Him with the God I know is known for faithfulness. Come on, let's go. Whoa.
My God isn't finished yet. If he didn't before, he can do it again. So I'll trust him with what comes next. 'Cause my hindsight says I can count on this. My God isn't finished yet. If he did it before, he can do it again. So I trust him with what comes next. For the God I know is known for faithfulness. Yeah, my hindsight says I can trust him with what's next. For the God I know is known for faithfulness. Is the battle. You see my victory. When all I see is the mountain, you see the mountain move. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet, and I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. When all I see is the cross, God, you see the empty tomb. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. Oh, I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadow, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. And almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God.
You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. And almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. And oh God, the battle belongs to you. And every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And oh God, the battle belongs to you.
Well, church, we're so excited to introduce to you guys a new song that is Restore Worship original. It's called Never Walk Alone, and we're just so excited to introduce this to you. We wrote this a few months back, and it's all about how we never walk alone, and how as we are walking through this life, we may experience anxiety or fear or depression, but we know that we can lean on a God who is understanding, who is always there. And the verses go, kind of tell a story of how we experience anxiety and how we're calling out to Him in the midst of that. And the chorus just talks about how we need Him. It's a kind of a declaration, a prayer, just saying we can't do this without you. So Jesus, would you speak to us? And then the bridge goes, Never Walk Alone. It's a very simple declaration and anthem. And so we're excited to introduce this to you. I don't know where you guys are at this morning, but I've experienced a lot of fear and anxiety over this last year in 2020. And we really hope that this brings peace and joy to you as you listen to this and as you worship and as you are reminded of who He is and that He's never left you by yourself. It says in Psalm 23 from the Passion Translation, I love this. Psalm 23 verse 4, it says, Lord, even when the path takes me through the valley of the deepest darkness, fear will never conquer me. For you already have. You remain close to me, and you lead me through it all the way. Your authority is my strength and my peace. The comfort of your love takes away every fear. I will never be lonely, for you are always near. So, church, we're excited to introduce this song to you. It's called Never Walk Alone.
Chest is tightening, everything around is spinning quickly, and I can't breathe without you. My mind is racing, my chest is tightening, everything around is spinning quickly, and I can't breathe without you. So I breathe you in, be the one on my mind, peace I can't Jesus, speak. The dawn is breaking, my fear releasing. I can't do this alone, I need you near me. I need you with me here. So I breathe you in, be the one on my mind, a peace I can't deny. Oh Jesus, speak. So I breathe you in, be the one on my mind, a peace I can't deny. Oh Jesus, speak. I will never walk alone. 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 I will never, never walk alone. I will never, never walk alone. I will never walk alone. And so I breathe you in, will be the one on my mind, a peace I can't deny. Jesus, speak. And so I breathe you in, will be the one on my mind, a peace I can't deny. Oh Jesus, I will never, never walk alone. 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 My thoughts are silent, my lungs are breathing. Your voice is calming everything around me, and I'm at peace. I'm at peace with you here.
Hey, thanks, Restore Worship, for leading us today. This is the first Sunday of Advent and the first Sunday of our Christmas 2020 collection of talks. Christmas, it's our season. Advent has, within the church calendar, had several different iterations throughout history. But today, tradition holds that Advent begins on the fourth Sunday prior to Christmas and ends on Christmas Eve. Advent is a time of reflection. It's a time of expectant waiting. We anticipate the Christ as child, but farther along, looking farther ahead, Advent is also a reminder that Christ as King will settle everything, make everything right again. It's the season of Christmas, we say. 'Tis the season we sing. Now, I've been keenly aware, and correctly so, of what I think is the overuse of the word season. We refer to a point in time or a period of time as a season. You know, like in this season of my life, or this has been a good season, but now I need to move on. We're just in a new season, or maybe it was right for the season I was in. Sometimes it seems that the word season is used in a kind of a let me down gently medley of words. Often, this is language we use around endings and transitions. But what if we did an about face and thought of endings as beginnings, transitions as opportunities, and stuck in a season as the perfect moment for sending our roots deep into the soil of our lives, and then watch and see? It takes patience and long endurance, but eventually, after the root system has been in incubation, it's been out of sight, then watch and see as spiritual nutrition finds its way into our root system and brings the growth and flourishing we've longed for, we've believed for, and that is finally revealed at long last, at just the right time. What if? What if in the waiting to head off to college, to get married? What if in the waiting for Christmas morning or the birth of a child, what if as we find ourselves longing for that next big event, we would take this season and make it our season that reminds us that even in the struggle, there is beauty. Our season is upon us. Advent calls us to lean into hope, into peace, joy, and love. Advent calls us to let the roots go down deep as we wait expectantly for our coming King. In a world of election chaos, pandemic pandemonium, division and loss, in the imperfections, in our pain and in our turmoil, even there, you guys, we can have hope. Dietrich Bonhoeffer says that the celebration of Advent is possible only to those who are troubled in soul, who know themselves to be poor and imperfect, and who look forward to something greater to come. Something greater to come. It sounds hopeful. I wonder, where do you find hope? Where in your life is it most difficult to experience? And by the way, is hope dependent on my effort, on my abilities? Or can I be hopeful without being in control of every aspect of my life? Can I be hopeful in the mysterious and even in the unknown? See, it's the unknown that often trips us up, and it keeps us from living fully into the moment that we're in. It's this living in the unknown that will increase our fear factor. And the more we live in fear, the less we're going to trust the one who actually has the power to conquer our fear. He has the power to annihilate the worry and the weakness and the despair that sinks us deeper into hopelessness. But sometimes our hopelessness takes us on a journey that's actually a helpful journey, where we gain perspective, where we have the opportunity to open our hearts to the possibility of hope, to the possibility of grace, and to the possibility of a God that saw, and to a God that sees and still sees our darkness, whose spirit hovered over the dark pre-creation, and whose spirit hovers and broods over our darkness as he continues to create who he's called us to be. In the first book of the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1, we read these words. We read that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now let's pause for just a moment because I want you to think about this. Can you imagine, friends, if the Spirit of God is moving upon the face of the waters, he's moving, he's brooding over the darkness, You know, it might be hard to visualize this, but do you sense your own darkness? Maybe this would help. If you sense your own darkness, do you feel the depth of spiritual groaning that we seem to be doing even right now? We're embroiled in so much division and disunity, but at the same time, I see the Spirit of God hovering over the deep, over the dark, brooding over the chaos, and I have hope. Because to brood, when something broods, it means to cover or loom or fill the atmosphere. And I love that picture that the Spirit of God hovers, it looms, it is brooding over our darkness. And when the Spirit of God comes, He fills the atmosphere. Because as the Word says, then the Spirit came, moving upon the face of the water. Hope entered the equation. This equation that says dark plus dark equals more darkness. But the Spirit of God moved. It hovered. It brooded. It filled the atmosphere. It filled the atmosphere over the waste, the darkness, the deep water, the lifelessness, the void, and spoke life into what was dead. This is at creation. But you and I, we can live in the now. We feel it, and we can choose if in our waiting, in our stumbling, we will live in defeat or if we will rise up, because hope is possible if we choose to see through the darkness of our journey. It's our journey toward the light. You know, Jesus taught us that the eye is the lamp of the body. By this, He means that your perception is what will determine your experience in this life. In the book of Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, in chapter 6, Jesus speaks these words, and He says, the eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eye, which means your perception, if your eye is clear, your whole body, your bodily experience in this life, your whole body will be full of light. If your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So, He says, if the light that you already have, the light that you already are, if the light is in you is dark, how dark it will be. Light or darkness? Which are you perceiving? If your sight is clear, you'll see light. You'll see beauty and you'll see wonder all around you. This kind of seeing is the eternal realm of the Father. It's called the kingdom of heaven. If, however, your sight isn't clear, you're going to see darkness. You'll see offense and you'll see grievance. It is as Jesus said, you are the light of the world. And when we exercise that light, we're pushing back the darkness and we're speaking life to that which has been pronounced dead. Pain will come. It is real. But you know what? Suffering is optional. Jesus, He bore our suffering as His own. We read that it is by His stripes that we're healed. And it is through His suffering that we become whole. Yes, I know. There are days when in our pain and in our suffering, we cry with King David as he did in Psalm 22. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me? But we also, like David, can conclude our lament with these beautiful words of assurance that God has not despised or scorned the afflicted one. He has not hidden His face from him. See, God does not leave us when we stumble, when we lose hope. He draws close to our human experience. He sees our pain and He enters into the journey with us. Consider this true story of how, even though we are equipped to see clearly, sometimes our life circumstances and our experiences will cause our sight to be dimmed. The Cambodian genocide of the late 70s resulted in a group of refugees that settled in Long Beach, California. A peculiar thing happened with these refugees. Over time, they started going blind. Yet their eyes were healthy. And through brain imaging, it was determined that nothing was wrong with their eyes or their vision centers. And yet, they couldn't see. So with some deeper research, it was revealed that all of them, every one of them, had witnessed terrible suffering. The murder of their families. Husbands and parents, children, they were killed in the most unimaginable, brutal manner. And the pain and suffering from that experience caused a condition called psychosomatic blindness. Researchers said it was almost like a see no evil kind of thing. They'd gone blind. Their minds had simply chosen not to see anymore. Hopelessness and darkness had become their normal. Their pain, it was unbearable, and it caused physical reactions. Now, our pain is real too. But I believe if pain can blind us, then the love of Jesus can bring sight to that blindness. It can heal the broken places in us and restore the reality of hope that is available to us through the renewing of our mind and through the transforming power of the Spirit. Author Sarah Bessey writes these words. She says, God seeks us out when we are in exile and when we are suffering, when we are callous and cowardly, when we are more concerned with common sense than faithfulness, when we are fearful and arrogant, when we are lost and broken, when we feel forgotten and bored and insignificant and tired, when we are wounded and when we are the ones who are wounding. Yes, God seeks us out even when we are in exile, when we have lost our way. Now back to Genesis 1. In verse 3, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And there it is, light. Hope is that light. And since the day God said, from creation on, he said till now, darkness cannot exist when light is introduced. See, your darkest night cannot stand when hope enters the equation. When God says, let there be light, the darkness must flee. When God says, it is finished, it's done. But still, there are times of waiting, hopeful waiting. If you recall, it was 700 years from the time that the prophet Isaiah spoke these prophetic words from Isaiah 9 until Jesus was finally born. Here it is in verse 2, the people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. This word was given 700 years before the birth of Jesus, and still they waited. Expectantly, they waited. Hopefully, they waited for the light to overcome the darkness. And in the waiting, if this is where you find yourself, the practice of preparation matters. It's our way of keeping our eyes and our hearts and our arms wide open to whatever is next. See, waiting is never meant to endorse inaction or laziness. I know that waiting and keeping watch, it's especially difficult for our tech age to endure. We've been seduced by the big and the powerful, and yet God mostly works in the small and in the quiet. His ways are about as loud as a seed falling on the ground or bread rising in the oven. His ways are rarely found in the shouts of the crowd, but more often found in trickling tears and whispered prayers. Author and pastor Brian Zond, he offers that we are impressed by big and loud. God is not. We're in a hurry. God is not. We want God to act fast, but God's speed is almost always slow. So while we wait for God to act, perhaps we wait to become quiet enough to discern what he's doing. See, when God broke through history, he didn't come to the Pharisees, the scribes, and the priests, but God came to pagan stargazers and peasant shepherds, quiet people on the fringes of society, quiet people on the edge. They were the ones who discerned what God was doing in the seemingly ordinary event of a young woman giving birth in the dead of night in some out-of-the-way place. The waiting is to become quiet enough and contemplative enough to discern what God is doing in the obscure and forgotten corners far from the corridors of power. See, we want God to act in Washington, D.C., but God first acts in the quiet corner of our own living room and in a stable on the edge of Bethlehem. Christmas 2020. It's our season. It's our season to anticipate hope, to pursue peace, to embrace joy, to love without condition. And while we wait, we echo again the prophetic words of Isaiah 35. This is how it reads. with this news. Strengthen those who have tired hands and encourage those who have weak knees. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you. Here comes heaven. Hope is here. Would you pray with me? Father, I thank you in this moment that your presence in our lives brings hope unending. Your sending of Jesus to earth 2,000 years ago was meant to bring us into alignment with you. And that's the accomplishment of Jesus. Father, I thank you today that no matter where we are, no matter how we have subscribed to the chaotic atmosphere of our day, no matter how discontented we are in the moment, and no matter how much strife and pain we've come through, and maybe we're still in the middle of, God, I believe that you have created us for such a time as this. And we get to step into these moments, and we get to experience whether or not we will be hopeful or whether we will retreat back into darkness, whether we will see the light and focus our attention on what is right and good, or if we will step away and check back into darkness. God, I believe with all my heart that someone on the other side of this broadcast today is believing that they can step into the light. And so wherever you are this morning, if the next right thing for you is to say yes to Jesus, to say, I need the hope of Christ deep within me, then make that request. He hears you. You simply say, Jesus, I give you my life. It's that simple. You'll have a lot more to talk about, but that's a start. That's where you can start. It's just, Jesus, I give you my life. Because Jesus is the way, He's the truth and the life. He is the great provider of hope for you and for me, especially now in this season that we find ourselves, this season of Advent. Let's embrace hope. All right, friends, before we go, let me just remind you that our Christmas offering fund for 2020 includes student scholarships. It includes the Window Food Pantry, the Elkhart County Jail Ministries. And so what I'd love for you to do is to go to our Give button on our homepage at restore.church and begin thinking about what you will do to help fund these ministries. Many of us give regularly to Restore Church, and so the Christmas offering is above and beyond what we normally do. So think and pray, talk to each other, see what God might say to you about what you can do to be part of this exciting time of the year, because as I always say, together we can always do more than we could ever do alone. I love you guys, and we'll see you again next week.